This is not sponsored, by the way, but I am obsessed with Liquid IV. I was not on the train before, but your girl is now. This one's Tropical Punch. It is so good. It is a hydrator. It's more hydrating than just water, and it like gives it flavor. Again, not sponsored. I just love them. I do want to show you my hair real quick. Then we're gonna go back to regular programming on how. Oh, what if I stand here? Maybe you'll see it. Then we're gonna go back to like regular video programming. I don't know if you can see it or not. Okay. That's better. Super long. I showed it in the last video I was making, but I'm like, I don't know if I'm posting this one first or the other one first, because I was supposed to have this video out, but I didn't like the way it was being filmed. So here we are. I'm gonna have to go grab my supplies, because usually I don't need them. But anyways, I'm gonna do the intro and then go grab the book and the notes. What's up, I'm Noe and you're watching Noe's channel. Hello, and on today's episode, we're going to be reading quotes from The Lost Art of Listening by... I will go figure that out. Hold on. Michael P. Nicholas, PhD. The Lost Art of Listening. I love this book. I just want to say that. Also, none of the books are sponsored either. I didn't realize that. I probably should have said that. These are just books that I decided I wanted to read. I am almost done. I haven't read this year yet because I've been super busy, but I'm excited to finish because I got so many new books that I have to read, and I am keeping my reading a priority. Anyways, that's not what we're talking about. We are going to be reading just a few passages that not passages, just a few notes that I wrote down because I like them or was happy with the way they were worded. I'm not going to read all of them because I do have a lot of like notes from the book, so I'll just read a couple and expand upon them in my own words. So I read this on December 1st, and it is page 132. The first step to healing ruptured relationships is to understand the other person's point of view. And I knew what that meant immediately, but I didn't know that that was the perfect wording that I needed. Because that's very true. Standing on different sides of an argument, no matter what type of relationship you're in, can cause ruptures in relationships. Sorry, I'm trying to fix it. So, what that means to me is the ruptures in a relationship is when you feel disconnected with the person, and I did actually get that summary from the book. I'm not sure if I'm going to read that today, but when you feel disconnected with a person in a relationship, it leads to distance, which is disconnection, like I mentioned earlier. But to close that distance between you, you have to communicate your point of view. And communicating your point of view sounds like some big, like, hard task, but it's really just saying what you thought the conversation was and what you heard them say versus what they may actually be saying. But someone can say, why did you do your hair like that? Simple, but why did you do your hair like that? And you hear it in an attitude way when they're really like interested in why you did your hair like that, because maybe they just saw a hairstyle like that and it made them go back to that moment, if that makes sense. It's communicating the words you understood it as rather than the words that you heard. So they're great words. I do gotta say, reading books like this is so comforting, because I don't find myself in conversations about the things that I know, because I don't always know how to word them for people who have different processing systems, because I can say something one way and someone might have a different way of hearing it to understand it the way that I understand it, the way I said it. Does that make sense? I think there's something about that here. So let's search for another one. I kind of want to do them random. I don't want to like this page to this page. You know what I'm saying? Did I say? Yeah, I said the page number. Good. That was a really good one too. Ooh, yeah. I really like this one. So, page 92, egocentric means stuck in their own point of view. And I know people are like, isn't everyone in their own point of view? Yes, but when you're in communication, you kind of dibble and dabble between yours and their point of view to understand each other, which is why communication is very important, and why it can be hard to communicate with people who don't know how to release their point of view and see it in another person's perspective. Because if you are one-track minded, if you are closed-minded, it's hard to open up to new ideas. Like, their experience is different than yours. So I love that sentence. Let's see. Ooh, that one's really good. I'll do that one next. I wanted... Okay, yeah. Okay, so I have a couple of next. Okay, I'm excited. I love topics like this. Obviously, my whole channel is topics like this. Okay. Oh, yeah. Page 157, assuming that your way of communicating is the right one means you'll have trouble relating to people with different conversation styles and sensitivities. Conversation styles, that is so important, and sensitivities. Did I write the next one? Okay, I'm gonna read the next one because they flow together. Same, it's the next page, 158. The listener who remains open, on the other hand, sometimes experiences surprise and delight as his assumptions topple and he discovers the speaker, child, lover, friend in a deeper, fuller way. Now, can we just... Michael P. Nicholas, you did that. You really did that. I appreciate these words so much. I love these words. And that's why when people are like, do you have any recommendations? I'm like, this book right here, read it. Read it again. Send it to a friend. Tell everybody about it. Just like the Lost, no. Just like the 5 apology languages. Oh my gosh, these books are beautiful. Anyways, that is basically what I said earlier with my own words. The listener who remains open, mentioned that. Sometimes, yeah. So they just went into detail on what happens on their perspective, which I am obsessed with. I'm gonna do book reviews a lot, probably. I kind of love that though. And then, okay, I'm gonna read this one and then I'm gonna go to this one. So, Page 162, the gift of your attention allows you to understand and the other person to feel understood. Real listening is an act of self-transcendence. Is that still part of it? It is, okay. People live in their own personal and subjective worlds. To meet, truly meet, means they must open up parts of themselves and share them, and they must be received. See, the receiving part is where we tend to have struggles with because of rejection and insecurity, which is, I'm smiling because that's part of the next thing that I'm going to read, so it's going to flow perfectly. I love learning about things that I'm passionate about, and these are things I am, because I like to understand what causes the disconnect between people, if that makes sense. Like how to identify what it is and then revisit it in a correct manner. Because I know people are like, this sounds like relationship stuff, but it's not. This happens in your friendships. This happens talking to a niece, a nephew, an aunt, an uncle. It's everywhere. And we're just not aware of it. So when you bring it to your awareness, you can handle it better. So I'm gonna read the next thing that I liked it so much that I put a little star. Because I was like, that's it. That's the one right there. So I feel like I should read it. Better listening doesn't start with a set of techniques. It starts with making a sincere effort to pay attention to what's going on in the other person's private world of experiences. I read the wrong one, but that one's also important. And it goes along with what we've been talking about in the flow of the conversation, but here it is. This is the one I wanted. Shame and insecurity are wounds. Oh, I didn't tell you the page number. How rude. Sorry. Page 140 was that one. And this page is... I didn't write the page. Oh yeah, I did, right there. 115. Shame and insecurities are wounds that make people react violently to criticism. The universal boundary, boundary, where did that come from? The universal vulnerability to criticism is related to the universal yearning of love and approval. I'm not done, there's more. But how impactful was that? Those words like hit you. They like... The right person saying the wrong thing can puncture your ego like a pin bursting a balloon. That is beautiful. Beautifully said. I love beautifully said sentences. Like something said so simply, but it hits you like no other. I'm obsessed with stuff like that. And then 116, you don't have to agree to hear what someone is saying. That's a very valid point. If you, let me see. There is another one that I'm gonna look for in a second. This is also really important, but I'm not gonna share like all of the things that I wrote down because I have a few passages. If you can tell, this is just one. So, I am going to expand on that right now. I just want to find the next quote that I'm thinking of that relates perfectly. Okay, that's one. But those words said, I feel like they've said so perfectly that I don't really need to expand upon it, but I will. Your ruptured ideas No, your ruptured ego can cause reactability. So if you feel like someone is making you small, you will attack them immediately. Whether that is a personal attack, like saying, hopefully you're not doing this, but it happens, saying things that you know will hurt the other person, or reacting in a way that you know will hurt the other person because of how close you guys are. Ooh, that's a good one too. Obviously, these are all good ones. I wrote them down, but like they connect so well. Like these, obviously these quotes in this book connect well, but I'm saying like they flow beautifully with the previous book that I read in the sequence in which I read them, because they are psychologists using their understandings of what they have learned and have taught to put them into this bundle of a book and allow you to receive it the way that they have carefully thought out everything. So, ooh, I have the question for the end of the video. Ooh, that's a very good one. Something we don't talk about and we need to. Page 177. Feelings are facts to the person experiencing them. So trying to make people feel differently about the feelings they have when they are facts in their own processing system can be seen as an attack, which again, we talked about attacks. We talked about defensive listening. I think we've talked about defensive communication. If not, that will definitely be a video that I talk about next. What are you doing? Are you gonna sit down? Okay. Do you, girl, do you. Okay, yeah, 178 goes perfectly with that, obviously, because they're in the sequence of which the pages are, but she's so distracting. They tie together. Like, you ever have a conversation that just flows so well that everything is set out and there's nothing left unsaid? That's what it feels like when I'm reading these. To listen without flying off the handle, you have to tolerate a certain amount of anxiety and to resist the fight or flight urge. And that is important to acknowledge, because emotions trigger your fight or flight urge, which means that if you're having a conversation that is vulnerable to you, but you're not used to vulnerability, you have a fight or flight urge. But there's actually a couple more than fight or flight. I think it's fight, flight, fawn, and I think there's a fourth one. I'm not sure what the fourth one is in this current moment. Sarah, are you okay? You're like freaking out right now. Are you alright? You okay? Okay, good. I'm not sure what the fourth one is right now. I apologize. But it creates reactivity. And reactivity, it's in the Lost Arts. No, I keep saying Lost Arts. It's in the 5 Languages of Apologies. Defensive communication does not get things done if you're both defensive. If one person's defensive and knows how to get the other person to let down their defenses, it's fine. But if you're both defensive, you're not going to hear each other. It's the brief summary of that. Okay. And Also, I love the word transcend. I don't know why or how I miss saying that, but I do. It's like one of my favorite words. Okay, and to end this video off, I'm going to do the first one that I wrote down because I didn't think to write quotes down until the end, like further in the book. Page 74, listening is the art by which we use empathy to reach across the space between us. Page 75, the art of listening, the act of listening requires a submersion of the self and immersion in others. 76, genuine listening involves the suspense of self. 79, to listen well, you have to read the needs of the speaker and respond to the context. I just realized that, okay, I changed the style in which I'm writing this page later on because I wasn't sure how I was gonna make it flow, so those were all different. I was jumbled, but it all flowed together. And I just want to say I love this book. I recommend this book. I literally, I want to give this book out to people all the time for any holiday. But the problem is, if you give someone the Lost Art of Listening book, they feel like you're saying you don't listen to them. So it's a great read. It's not me telling you to learn to listen. This is a book I recommend, is in everyone's collection. So 2 books I recommend so far. The 5 Languages of Apologies and The Lost Art of Listening. The 5 Languages of Apologies, because not only does it touch on apologizing, it also touches on listening. And if you do it in this order, The Lost Art of Listening expands upon what the 5 Languages of Apology was briefly discussing. No, these aren't the same author, but I feel like they're like perfect choices together. I absolutely loved this video, reading it, explaining it, all of it. It was fun. I love books. I love books. I love psychology books. I don't really read fiction books. I have one fiction book I'm reading. It's pretty interesting. But I love... I'm distracted. I'm like not used to the straight hair yet. I've only had it for like maybe 2 days. Maybe 1. I don't know. I did it late at night, so who knows. This is such a cute style too. Okay, focus. I do. I love psychology books and I love discussing them with the self-love crowd and self-improvement crowd because it is not only teaching me, but also teaching me how to teach other people, which I love. And I'm not teaching other people because I think I have all the information. I'm teaching other people so that they can teach it themselves to incorporate it in their life. I just wanted to add that in there. And the question that I remembered in here is, how do you listen to yourself?